Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining in. Today is day one of the Salesforce Admin Group of Nasik and Khandwa presenting AutoRABIT for Salesforce. How we are actually transforming the DevSecOps process of Salesforce ecosystem today. This is what we would learn. This is Piyush Ranjan Prushti, your host for day one. I have with me Vignesh from me with AutoRABIT from AutoRABIT. He's the pre-sales consultant with us, and I work as the alliances and partnership manager at AutoRABIT. Uh, Thanks everyone for joining in. Let me start sharing my screen and present you what are we going to talk about today. Hope you guys can see my screen. So, to first of all, I would like to thanks the Salesforce admin group of Nasik and Khandwa to actually give us this opportunity to present AutoRabbit to the audience. And some of the products that we are going to talk about today in the Salesforce DevSecOps ecosystem today, or Development Security Operations ecosystem today, is first one is ARM, the Automated Release Management or DevSecOps release management automation platform. The second one is Vault, which is the backup and recovery management platform for Salesforce. And the third one is CodeScan, which is the static code analysis platform. So we would learn about all these products today going ahead and how we transform the DevSecOps and Salesforce ecosystem. Just to give a brief history about how AutoRabbit started its journey in 2015 when it founded, and in 2021 what we have achieved over the period of time. So we started. Some of you must recognize this old logo of ours to this new logo which we currently have. So we started with ARM as the product. Or automated release management as the product in 2015 for Salesforce ecosystem and other ecosystem also, to actually bridge the gap between development and operations team and create a DevOps automation product or automated release management product in the ecosystem. Over the period of time when we started working with Salesforce ecosystem, we realized that there is a need of security and compliance layer on top of DevOps, which is very vulnerable to actually malicious attacks or other areas in terms of affecting the customer's data, right? So to overcome that, we actually evolved from DevOps to DevSecOps over the period of time. And in 2018, we thought of developing a new product where there was a need in the Salesforce ecosystem, was Vault, that is the backup and recovery management automation for Salesforce and its ISVs. There is still a very big market for Vault backup and recovery management. Not all the companies are very aware today about this kind of products and automating all their compliances or workflows related to backing up all the data in the Salesforce and its ISV or managed packages, and then again restoring them automatically, right? So along with managing or keeping the security and compliances intact for that particular company in that region or in that particular industry, right? So that's the value add we had in the we added to the Salesforce ecosystem. And then we moved slowly towards data ops capabilities. So DevSecOps plus data ops, where we are actually going to showcase you the 360-degree analytics of what's happening or the KPI dashboards of how data behaves, right? Or to bring in more fairness or transparency in the overall release management and backup and recovery management process, right? And over the period of time, by 2021, recently before a few weeks, we acquired CodeScan as a product which added to our security and compliances part of the business, which is the static code analysis, which also means uh, taking care of code quality or higher code quality, and at the same point of time, making sure code is not vulnerable and it's very much secured when it's in the DevSecOps process. Right. So this is how we have evolved over the period of time, adding one by one product over the period of time in 2021. And Talking about where are we located, how are we located today, we have our presence globally. You can see on the map, headquartered in San Francisco in the Silicon Valley, where Salesforce is also located, and we have been working very closely with them to innovate different products and have people across the globe in terms of sales, support, pre-sales, engineering, R&D, and DevSecOps consultants. So you can see some locations like India and Hyderabad, India being one of the R&D or product management locations, along with San Francisco, and then salespeople across the US, Europe, as well as in Australia, right? So we have clients globally, we have partners globally, so no, we work as a global team today. Yeah. We have a team size of around 200 today globally. Just to touch upon some of the key achievements till date, we had the first one is Series A funding in Feb 2020. So when the pandemic hit, we were actually growing very, very fast, and we were accelerating at a faster pace, and we were able to get a Series A growth fund. We were already clocking in more revenue than the Series A funding, but we wanted this growth fund to actually accelerate the pace of our product innovation and invest in the customer delight or partner delight. That means providing the best experience to all our customers and partners through product innovation as well as through people, right? Resources. And the second one was we were part of Salesforce Accelerate Grow program in 2020, one of the top 19 startups worldwide to be part of that program. Every year, Salesforce selects one startup, like 19 startups out of its ecosystem to actually nurture them and grow them in the ecosystem and work closely with them. We were one among them in 2020. And the third key achievement was over the period of time, we have been able to work with different Salesforce as well as its different ISVs or managed packages. Like, for example, you guys, some of you must have heard about Salesforce, Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, which is Salesforce own platforms. Then we have Salesforce DX, especially for the developers. Then we have CPQ, which is cost price configuration, right? Then we have Velocity for telecom, energy utility, all these businesses, right? In the and specifically ISV managed package developed on top of Salesforce platform for all these industries, right? And then Viva for healthcare, life science, or pharma. When it comes to insurance, also Velocity works very well with them. When it comes to banking, financial services, operating system, Encino is the leader. So we work with all of this very, very strategically today by partnering with them so that we can innovate new functionalities, new product features over the period of time so that we can cater to all these individual ISVs and their challenges across the DevSecOps lifecycle. Just to talk a little bit about what kind of clients do we have. This is a overview of different 200, some of the sample of our 200 plus global customers and partners. So today work with partners like Encino, Almaviva, PwC, Fujitsu, Wipro, Capgemini, Accenture, Deloitte, a lot of companies, Step SRL, all these small resellers, boutique consulting partners, a lot of them, as well as this big SIs, as well as these companies, mostly in the highly regulated and compliance-driven industries. So you can see a lot of clients from financial services, insurance, banking, as well as healthcare, life sciences, and pharma today. So we are very, very popular among highly compliance-driven and regulated industries. When I say highly regulated and compliance-driven, that means these companies have to adhere to a lot of policies when it comes to their region-wise compliances or their countries' compliances or their regions or their customers' data protection-based compliances and regulations. And that's why it's very important for highly regulated industries to actually get on to DevSecOps or next-gen platforms, which completely secures and takes your data through a compliance way, right? Or keeps compliance on the overall process, right? You can see some of the clients like AT&T in telecom. You can see clients like ABB, clients like Delta Airlines, clients like LD Automotive. So across the industries, we have client. We also have a lot of government clients and public sector clients also who really like us because of our DevSecOps framework and the features that we have today. coming on to developing on Salesforce. So this is a very interesting topic that we have been able to actually give a thought around over the period of time, and our leadership has also given it a lot of thought and over the period of time to so that we can actually develop the best DevSecOps experience for our developers community, right, in the Salesforce ecosystem. What are some of the things because of which people think that Salesforce is a developer platform? Rather, it's not a developer platform, right? Because it's a CRM, or it's a platform to work on it, or it's more like an operating system to work for different use cases, right? Business use cases, and it's not a platform to actually work on DevOps. Why? Because nowadays there are a lot of things which could actually affect your DevOps process. First one is around malicious attacks, right? So you must have heard about a lot of attacks, malicious attacks, starting from SolarWinds, right? And over the period of time, this kind of attacks have grown in the Salesforce ecosystem by 10x or 10 times in the past year, and the development process has become a top target for attack because your developers are really touching the data each and every time they are working on CSV files, Excel files. That really becomes makes it very much vulnerable to malicious attacks or hacking. And over the period of time, cloud users also assume that there is ample of security if you just adopt Salesforce, right? Which might not be the case completely, right? You really have to actually plan out for your security and compliances in your particular delivery, right? Wherever you're working, whether it's a captive unit inside a particular company or enterprise company, or whether it's outsourced to a company like Accenture or DXC or let's say Capgemini or Cognizant, right? So there are cloud consultants just to actually work upon those areas of security and compliances, right? You have to look beyond shared cloud. You have to look beyond what the cloud service provider is offering you, right? In terms of the secured platform where you are hosting everything, where you are actually working in your development process. uh, Second one is about COVID-19. So when the COVID-19 hit, we saw a lot of Salesforce development teams going leaner over the period of time, and with less amount of resources over the period of time, they had to work on a lot of releases. The release velocity has to increase a lot. At the same point of time, the efficiency of the developers or productivity has also to be increased, right? Automation is, like we all know over the period of time, that automation is not about removing a particular person from the activity. It's about empowering them to increase their efficiency or productivity over the period of time, right? And that's what we bring into the process in the DevSecOps world. And the third one is about regulations, right? Very important. Compliances, I have been talking about it. So there is extreme scrutiny required when it comes to the personal data, or PII data when we call it, in terms of healthcare, life sciences, or pharma customers, right? Or BFSI customers. That is personal information of your customers and customers. That is, let's say for example, if Delta Airlines is a customer of Salesforce, then the why they are adopting Salesforce in the first place is to provide the best customer experience as well as keep all their customers' data secure, right? So Delta Airlines and customers' data secured. So that's why it's very important to actually have all the regulations in place, all the scrutinies to be done at each and every level when it comes to their personal data, customers' personal data. Then we have seen over the period of time that 52% of companies that use cloud services have experienced a breach of sensitive data. This is real data from Salesforce ecosystem, and that's why it has become very very important today that you secure or bring down your vulnerability in the DevSecOps process, right? And around 70% of companies deploying on cloud have suffered in some form a little bit amount, even if a little bit amount of data loss over the period of time. And it takes a lot of effort to even bring back all your data, right? That's why we have this DevSecOps based data backup and recovery management platform. And at the same point of time, all these things actually uh, bring you or take you towards thinking that how we should make our DevSecOps process less vulnerable or more secure, right, over the period of time. So just to mention, what are the repercussions when you see that there is a downtime in the Salesforce, right? And it could also happen to you that over the period of time, your company might face the same issue, right? And it could lead to different repercussions like broken integrations between different platforms, data loss happening from a lot of areas or leakages, then GDPR violations in that particular region or for that particular customer, right? If they're in highly regulated industry, there could be, it could definitely differ from one industry to another industry, one region to another region, one company to another company, and loss in terms of revenues, of course, if the clients leave them, or in terms of paying heavy amount of penalties for violations of all these compliances, and customer service SLA lapses, right? So definitely that brings down your NPA or CSAT score if all these things are happening, right? So all these things are the repercussions of Salesforce downtime, or if because of your poor DevSecOps process, Salesforce data is being affected, right? So, to overcome all of these challenges, we have this suite of products or product catalog over the period of time across all our three product offerings. ARM or automated release management, we have purpose-built platforms developed for Encino managed package, Salesforce Sales Cloud, Service Clouds managed package, for Velocity managed package, for Viva managed package, for CPQ managed package, and DX managed package, right? So all these are kind of different forms of our platform for different managed package or different practices inside your company. And then when it comes to Vault, we have backup and recovery management for Sales Cloud, Service Cloud today. And apart from that, Encino managed package, the banking financial services operating system. We thought that's a very, very niche area to go towards, and there is only we are the leaders in this particular space when it comes to Encino based developments for automated release management or backup and recovery management. We can today do automated backup as well as recovery or restoration without touching any data. uh, and the third one is code scan, right? So static code analysis, or code coverage, or quality code management for Salesforce, Sales Cloud and Service Cloud, right? And over the period of time, we are trying to actually innovate or develop new functionalities for all these managed packages also, and we are going to expand our product footprint across newer as the logos also. Uh, Please stay tuned for all those news in the ecosystem with us. And we have seen that there is a lot of demand in terms of the highly regulated industries today, like because of which we are going towards Encino and Velocity today to develop new product features and functionalities. And just to mention, these are the three pillars through which we try to transform, or you can say three main pillars through which we are trying to transform the Salesforce DevSecOps process. The first one is speed, agility, security, and compliance stacked together, right? So that your speed is not affected at the same point of time. There is security and compliance with the faster pace of release management going on in the team. Second one is automation, or the RPA, in the backend to automate a lot of activities, increase the efficiency and your productivity, help the developers to become more faster and efficient in the process. Third one is business intelligence and reporting, or data ops capability. So through this, you would be able to get 360-degree overview about what's happening across all the products, right, over the period of time, and able to do complete audit of all the things happening in the release management, whatever approvals have been done, whatever steps have been taken, all those things. This is to go deeper into our product portfolio. So this is the portfolio that we have today. When it comes to Vault, today we can do backup and recovery management automation. We can actually keep all the multi-parent child relationships between grandparent and grandchild, that is between the data, metadata, and object components intact, while backing up everything from Salesforce and Encino managed package. You can actually compare two different backup snapshots between different timings, or between different orgs or same org, to see where are the differences in terms of changes has been that has been done between the two backups, and you can also compare a particular backup snapshot with live org so that you can know what are the changes that has been made on the production org, right, or live org, a particular org. Replication and seeding is possible in terms of replicating from one org to another org in the Salesforce. Then archival of a particular Salesforce org can also be performed so that you can save space on Salesforce, right? You don't have to pay much to actually purchase another org and all. Then comes restoration, which is the most important element, which is about whatever data you have backed up over the period of time, you can actually with a single click you can restore everything, having all the multi-parent child relationships intact, right? You don't really have to work on any CSV file, any Excel file at all over the period of time. You can restore each and every component intact, and you can cherry pick if you don't want to actually restore any particular data or metadata or object components while restoring or restoration. You can actually easily track all those things with timestamps and everything over the period of time. So it can actually back up and restore around, let's say, around 3 TB of data in just an hour. So, or you can also say that around 10 million records in an hour in terms of backup or restoration capabilities. When it comes to the security and compliance space, we have a separate module for it to make sure there is you can do data masking. You can host your platform in that particular region in terms of hosting on AWS or Azure or GCP, right? All those areas, and also take care of all the regulations relating to your data redundancy or data retention policies. That is when a particular data should be deleted. So automatically all those things will happen once you set it up accordingly. And coming to ARM platform or automated release management platform, these are some of the ecosystem technology partners that we integrate with today, starting from test automation. So we today do not replace all these platforms. Rather, we work in terms of integrating with all these platforms in the ecosystem so that we can provide developers maximum flexibility in terms of working with whatever platforms they want to work with, right? If you want to change your tech stack, you can change it, but at the same point of time adopting the best DevSec practices for the Salesforce ecosystem, right? So because we have built a purpose built platform, and if you want to use any generic platforms along with it to integrate and work on different areas, that's possible. Like for example, in test automation, we have partnered with XLQ, Prover, Selenium in the open source, right? So we can integrate with them. In the source code analysis space, code scan by AutoRABIT, which is our own product now, checkmarks, then Apex PMD in the open source. When it comes to version control, we can integrate with Git, Bitbucket, SonarQube, Azure Pipeline, all of this. When it comes to ALM, we can integrate with Jira, Rally, Azure, all of this. And apart from this, these are some of the industry's best known platforms in across all these life cycle areas, right? But apart from that, we have 90 plus other integrations, so that it gives you flexibility in terms of redesigning your whole tech stack in whatever region you are and with whatever technology ecosystem partners you are working. So this is how all our three products actually fit into the DevSecOps ecosystem and how we work. Coming to ARM or AutoRABIT, CI/CD for Salesforce or DevSecOps automation. What we make easy is deployments for different ISVs or managed packages or Salesforce platforms today. When it comes to Salesforce Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, or Velocity, they are all metadata based configurations. So today their data or objects are very much dependent on metadata, and the architecture is very much metadata based. When it comes to Encino, it's a record based model in terms of their data and in terms of the multi-parent child relationship between their records and their spreadsheets and all those things, because they have purpose built all all their configurations on top of Salesforce for banking and financial services industry. When it comes to Viva, they have data-based models in terms of the multi-parent child relationships between the data, metadata, and object components. Right? They are very different altogether in the Salesforce ecosystem and very different from the normal Salesforce CRM. Right? And that's why for each one of them actually build their own data models on top of Salesforce platform, and it makes deployments, or it makes their data architecture very, very complex to actually work on. So you really have to work on a very, very complex data structure to actually do data migrations, to do testing on them, to develop codes for them, and also release all those codes, right? And that's where we come in and make your life easier, actually. So just to mention, some of the USPs that we have today in the ecosystem are our metadata awareness for Salesforce and the ecosystem. We kind of have no limitations when it comes to Salesforce metadata. Number of metadatas they support, and we also support the same ones. When it comes to flexible hosting options, this is again where we completely complement Salesforce Hyperforce strategy today, where we go one step beyond Salesforce Hyperforce, saying that we can not only host our platforms, our SaaS products on shared cloud, or dedicated cloud, or private cloud, or public cloud, but also we can host our platforms on premise today, right? So apart from on premise, you can also choose between AWS or Azure or GCP cloud to actually host all our SaaS products today in the ecosystem. So we go one step deeper in terms of offering the most secured way of working, or giving you the complete flexibility to choose in the SaaS ecosystem how you want to host our platforms, how you want to how you want to create that environment for the DevSecOps inside your practice, Salesforce practice, right? This is a generic release management process diagram which you all could relate to. This is also this is similar across the industry today. A little bit of here and there in the process, but yeah, just to showcase, this is an example of multiple developers working on single Salesforce dev sandboxes, right? And they are trying to actually through they are doing trying to do branching and then trying to do merging, right? And over the period of time, across this particular phase, number one challenge that developers face is code conflicts or overridden of codes, right? As a release manager, or as an architect, or as a developer, or as an admin, you would all have faced all these challenges. So you would be spending around 70 hours of time to actually work on conflict resolution, pull request, and then try to actually override the codes and select which ones to go ahead with, right? Manually, all these things happening manually across this life cycle. And there is no approval mechanisms, there is no check gate, right? At the same point of time, you are working on multiple fragmented platforms like Git here, and then different QA platforms here, different orgs here, and then uh, adopting adopting generic platforms like Jenkins or Azure DevOps, right? But you are not getting that efficiency in the whole process. At the same point of time, once the merging has been done through end scripts, you have to actually move the codes ahead, or move the data ahead to the integrations, right? Where you would do quality testing or testing automation, right, on a different platform altogether. Then you have to move the data from one org to another org, and move to UAT. There you can get into different data loading or data migration activities, right? So you have to work on, as a developer, you guys have to work on multiple CSV files or multiple Excel files to load the data from one org to another org, and it might take around 2 full days in a scenario where you're working with an enterprise client or enterprise company, right? Lots of data, and you have to migrate them. You have to resolve the data deployment issues also. At the same point of time, make sure there is there is no vulnerability in the data, and then you're touching all those data while you're working on them, right? At the same point of time, you are doing this again and again over the period of time, pushing the data from one org to another org, and through end scripts again deploying the codes to the production, right? So while deployment, again, there were pre-deployment steps where manual redundancy was there, but then there are post-deployment steps like profile changes, destructive metadata changes, which could take around another 30 hours per release, of time, right, from you when it comes to deployment. Then comes the fourth challenge. So once the deployment has been done, all the components have been deployed to production. Let's say you have found some bugs because of which deployment failure happened, right? In that particular case, you don't really have the in a manual setup, you don't really have the flexibility to actually select on or roll back whatever deployments have failed. Rather, you have to actually roll back each and every component back to their individual Salesforce sandboxes, and then update or refresh each and every org accordingly, and then at the same point of time refresh ALM repositories, everything, right? And there you have to manually work again on everything to deploy everything. And then there could be hot fixes or there could not be hot fixes. And then last but not the least, there is no data backup integrations, right, in the as is scenario. uh, and it gives you a lot of vulnerability, or it gives a lot of risk or non-compliance to the whole process, in terms of there is no data masking when you are loading or data or migrating data from one org to another org. There is no data backup capability, there is no automated restoration capability in place, right? And because of all these challenges, Salesforce developers today find that across the DevOps process, it fits in well in terms of the challenges they face, starting from poor code integrations to problematic version controls to synchronization failures to manual intensive testing and review to massive deployments, risky backup and recovery, right? And as and when you keep walking in this life cycle again and again in this infinity loop, you find you get into more and more complexity, right? As and when the data increases, amount of data increases, you get into more and more complexity with all these problems. And that's why we exist, and that's why we bring in the deeper automation with AutoRABIT, right? So when it comes to AutoRABIT's deeper automation, these are the three products, how it fits into the whole DevSecOps release management process, or the next generation DevSecOps process, where multiple developers, when they are working on single sandboxes, the single sandboxes are actually in sync. So there could be multiple sandboxes, right? Three, four, five, six, seven, right? And all of them have to be in sync completely from the very beginning when they are and the developers are working. When I say sync, it doesn't mean that all your codes will get synchronized, but it will get only synchronized in individual developer sandboxes. Not, it will not mix up. And at the same point, there is pre-validation check gates. You can adopt different kind of branching strategies. So we provide you the flexibility to choose what kind of branching strategies you can adopt. uh, and then at the end you and someone after approval, merging can happen. So on AutoRABIT platform itself, after the developers have developed the codes on on the sandboxes, admins, developers, release managers, they can all hop on to ARM or our DevSecOps platform, automated release management platform, where they can perform all the branching activities. They can perform the merging activities. In terms of on our UI, they can see which particular codes are overriding, which particular codes have to be actually so automatically pull request and everything happens, which ones to be approved, right? So the release manager can approve or disapprove depending on the code, right? And everything, by taking a look at everything. And then once the merging has been done, there were approval check gates at each of those pre-validation check gates. The codes pass on to integration or testing, right? So here you can do test automation on our platform itself, because you will have integrations with the platforms like I mentioned before, with XLQ or Selenium or Prover, right? And you can perform those testings here, and after that you can actually uh, do all your you have all your integrations in place here with different platforms like ALM, application lifecycle management, like Jira, Rally, all those platforms. You can have code scan integrations here, right? Different kind of platform integrations, so that all of them can actually work with automated release management platform to do all their analysis in the backend, right? So And at the same point of time, we have a data loader module also, which takes care of automated multi-parent child data migration or data loading capability from one org to another org. So you don't really have to work on CSV file or Excel files anymore. So no touching of data at all, and that increases, like, decreases your vulnerability and increases your security for data, right? Where you are not touching anything, and at the same point of time, across the life cycle, when the data is moving from one org to another org, the data is masked, so you no one can actually see the data, right? And there is ample amount of security to the data, right? So there is no leakage of data at the same point of time. You don't really have to work on Excel files, CSV files. At the same point of time, when you then deploy all your components to the production, uh, then at that point of time, if you find that there are any deployment failures again at same point of time, then you have the rollback option to actually cherry pick which all components you want to actually roll back. So once you click those components, all their associated components, data, metadata, object components will automatically roll back to to the developer sandboxes, and all the downstream user stories will be in sync, including ALMs and all those user stories, right? So that you don't really have to do refreshes on each of the platforms. You don't really have to go to or move between different platforms, fragmenting, working on them in a fragmented basis, right? And here comes the Vault platform, where this is the to be recommendation to have Vault, so that you can have automated backup and recovery and complete security and compliance of your data in that particular region automatically, so that whenever you have any problem with respect to losing of data or anything, you can quickly recover using our platforms, right? And across this whole life cycle, we have role based configurations. So you can actually cherry pick and select. Your release manager or admin can actually select which particular person or developer in the team should be allocated which particular role, right? Who would do branching, who would do merging, who would do testing on the platform, who would do data migration or data loading, who would do CI deployments, who would work on rollback capabilities, right? Who can work on backup, who can work on recovery, who can work on archival, all these components. And then there are hot fixes. At the same point of time, uh, in the background, codes can runs, static code analysis happens, so that the code quality is not hampered, right? So that you can maintain the higher code quality, starting from when the developers are actually developing the codes on the sandboxes, till the code gets into or gets deployed as components into the production, right? As features into the production. So across the lifecycle, codes can would actually do analysis, continuous analysis in the backend, so that it can find out code bugs, vulnerabilities, and alert the developers or admins or release managers to take care of the code quality, right? So this is an holistic view of how we see all our platforms or SaaS products falling into the DevSecOps picture together to help holistically a particular enterprise secure and work in a very compliant way. Right? So this is again another example of how data migration happens, right? So currently, today in companies, just for Salesforce or for Encino or for any particular managed package, uh, today developers map to Salesforce data model, then match data migration model to business processes, then follow group object grouping criterias, then define update sequences, maintain unique IDs across sandboxes, manage or work on multiple CSV file, Excel files, and then do data loading manually, right? And there could be errors in this whole process. There is a lot of leakage of efficiency and productivity, right? Whereas with AutoRABIT, what happens is you would have feature-based selections, automated object dependencies, and so that you can actually do faster delivery to the business. So all the multi-parent child relationships are intact, and you can easily migrate data, metadata, object components, keeping them intact from one org to another org automatically, or with no manual interventions. So this is one of the testimonials from Nick Joseph, who is the director of professional services at Encino today worldwide. So he says migrations that previously took them 12 hours to complete now take only 90 minutes to complete, right? So you can imagine the amount or the kind of environment they must be working in, right? When it comes to banking and financial services operating systems, and those kind of vulnerabilities they have to actually go through. So they believe in us in terms of working with us, and we have developed we have done a lot of product innovation, or done a lot of development of features. We're working closely with their product leaders so that we can bring in all those top-notch functionalities to the market, which clients today need, which our ISV partners today need, or Salesforce today needs. This is again data ops capability or KPI dashboard, which you would be able to see on a real-time basis, which where you could see key performance indicators, performances, bottlenecks, quality trends, pipeline health, state of sandboxes, developer productivity, quality status, release velocity, all those things. So over the period of time, we have been innovating this so that we can add more and more widgets and more dashboards to it. There are around 10 plus chats now, and over the period of time, we are going to actually make it more and more predictive based analytics over the period of time. This is a sample ROI through ARM for ARM, CI/CD, or DevSecOps platform today, where you can see for each and every role and for each and every step, uh, how without using AutoRABIT people actually do it, and how much of time it takes, right? And how much of hours per month, how much of hourly rate of leakage is there, and how much of savings per month is there after utilizing AutoRABIT. So before and after, right? Starting from manual selection of changes to auto selection of changes for each deployment. 50 to 80 for release managers, 50 to 80 manual pre and post deployment steps, which could be done in less than 5 manual steps, like I explained before in the last slide, right? Running all the Apex tests before each deployment, run test based on changes only, right? Delta deployments, which you call as, right? Detecting org differences manually, detecting org differences automatically, deploy entire build each time, deploying changes only, right? Delta deployments again. Then rollback broken builds manually, rollback broken builds in one click, right? Manual SCA, functional testing processes, automated testing processes, right? So across this whole life cycle, we have tried to actually find out some of the important steps, and then tried to find out what's the USD or dollar savings over the period of time, right? So total savings per month somewhere for an enterprise clients based on 9% offshore Salesforce team in USD, in terms of offshore Salesforce development or captive unit, is somewhere around 624K USD to 1 million USD per month, right? So you can imagine uh, the kind of the kind of leakages that we are trying to fix in terms of the dollar value, in terms of the efficiency, in terms of the hours of savings, right, over the period of time for each of the resources or each of the people working in the DevSecOps process today, right? And this is a sample again ROI across the value streams today. I showcased you before I showcased you uh, process wise or step wise savings in terms of the numbers, right? But there could be different problems in different companies, right? Somewhere it could be resource crunch, somewhere it could be process inefficiencies, somewhere it could be with less number of resources they have to work on multiple projects, somewhere it could be dollar savings, right? And somewhere it could be process improvements, innovation or continuous improvement over the period of time, right? So because of that, we have tried to create different kind of ROI use cases, where this particular use cases mainly refers to across the life cycle of or value stream of quality automation, testing automation, UAT, and production. How much of turnaround time savings we have been able to do, right? So somewhere around 92% of savings of time have been done depending on specific assumptions, right? For a beginner stage client, the where we assume that the Salesforce DevSecOps maturity level is not above level 2, right? Then comes, what are the different business success factors we bring in through all these ROIs, right? So when we say ROI, you just see numbers or turnaround time, but it's more about bringing in the change management into the practice, right? Salesforce practice. When I say management, it could be depending on the business agility we bring in, right? The way your teams worked. Then more frequent releases could be done in less amount of time. Higher quality code management could be managed over the period of time. Dramatically, developers' productivity gains could be brought down. Operational excellence can be brought to a lot of extent, or delivery excellence or continuous improvement. Enhanced security and compliance devices comes into the picture, right? This is again one of the slides where we explain how automated release management is different or is better than generic CI/CD platforms like Azure DevOps or Jenkins in the ecosystem. So today, developers or release managers or practice leaders do an apple to apple comparison when they look at ARM versus Azure DevOps versus Jenkins, but it's not the case. It's like comparing apple to oranges. Why? Because these are the following points because of which we actually are purpose built for Salesforce and not them. Because we have the ability to handle the profiles, permission sets surgically as well as automatically. Our platform can do deployment rollbacks with options to select pre or post destructive changes. We can automatically identify test class dependencies based on the pages, class, trigger present in the build. We can support for unsupported metadata types also, like org wide addresses, Apex exception email, account teams, etc. Right? Remove login IP ranges, system or user permissions from profiles when required. Find line level differences of components between orgs and deploy them in a click. Data loading with multi-parent child dependencies, automate post-refresh activities like custom setting data, enabling, disabling Apex triggers, running the Apex or anonymous, etc. Right? And apart from all of this, data masking capabilities, hosting in different environments, and all those things, which normal Azure DevOps or Jenkins cannot do today. Right? That's why for Salesforce, you have to actually use purpose-built platforms like ARM and not the generic ones. Coming to the second product, AutoRABIT Vault, which is the data backup plus recovery management for Salesforce. Today, most of the common data losses happen because of user errors or failed updates or accidental deletion or overwriting of codes, malicious insider activities, right? Malware or ransomware, natural disasters can happen all the time, right? Just like COVID hit, and then lot of strategy relating to data hosting and all those things were taken care by a lot of companies, right? But still not of lot of companies are not even ready now to actually go to that next level. Then failed integrations of third party tools, right, which are not secure. So 96% of companies with a trusted backup and disaster recovery plan were able to survive ransomware attacks. As per Solutions Review magazine in 2018, we have got this data, right? And there could be problems related to hardware or software failures, data corruption, virus or malware, accidental deletion of data, costly downtimes, right? Because companies have to pay a lot of time, lot of money or penalties to compliance authorities for the downtime sometimes, or it could affect their revenues very much. Think of You must have heard about news about some of the airline companies, banking, financial services institutions going into outages where they get into heavy amount of multi-million dollar losses within a day or two, right? Redundant work for employees and all those things. So make automation part of your day-to-day activity to improve or work efficiently, right, rather than hating it. This is a viral you can say image which we saw over the period of time in the Salesforce community, where people were actually sharing it across on LinkedIn and other areas, on other platforms, where you can see on the right side business continuity planning being done just for compliance and audit, right? Whereas they should really have those kind of ties, right? I don't really need to explain why. So whenever you have all these backup plans, because whenever you need, only then you would be able to utilize it spontaneously, right? And not just for doing your regular compliances and audits, right? So be the strategic BCP planner or DR planner or advisor, right? When I say BCP or DR, that means business continuity planning or disaster recovery, right? Adopting the best Salesforce business continuity plans into the practices is the most essential thing today. Adopting the next gen technologies to stay compliant within your region, as well as secure and restore your customer information automatically through data masking. These things are very important today in the Salesforce ecosystem, and that's why you should be adopting products like Vault today. These are some of the modules that I have already explained in the very beginning about Vault, starting from backup through optimized API calls of Salesforce, restoration of data and metadata and object components, all keeping them intact without working on any CSV file or Excel files, GDPR compliances, module to take care of all the data retention policies, all the governance policies related to data masking and everything, and security. So having enhanced amount of security and compliance in terms of region, in terms of the data security by masking. Replication, you can replicate data from one org to another, or seed a sandbox. You can archive a particular Salesforce org from so that you can save space on that particular org. Then comparison between the two different historical backups, as well as with one historical backup with your live org, right? So all these are some of the modules of Vault. Coming to Vault, why Vault is purpose built for Salesforce, right? So data is the most critical asset in the enterprise today, right? And we want to configure the amount, type of info to backup. We don't want to limit that over the period of time for you guys. Scheduling timeline of backups is very important. Automatically setting up once so that it have all the backups, full backup or incremental backup happen automatically within intervals. Restoring all the previous versions instantly without hiring more resources or without involving a lot of manpower, right? Automatically doing all of those. Like I mentioned, about 10 million records could be restored or backed up in just 1 hour, right? So that's the efficiency we bring in. Assisting regulated industries to remain compliant in their own region, right? So like I mentioned, we work with a lot of public sector government clients today to keep their data secured, as well as automatically manage all their backups and restorations capability and archival capabilities, and then also taking care of the disaster recovery at the same point of time, right? Planning properly for it. Again, this is this is another version of Vault. Like I mentioned in the very beginning, we today have backup and recovery management developed, purpose built for Encino, the banking financial services operating system of Salesforce ecosystem today. So we can do all those functionalities for Encino today also, and over the period of time we would keep adding all those new innovative products, or we would keep adding new functionalities for new ISV products in the ecosystem. So you can do backup and restoration easily. For Encino today, we are the only one in the ecosystem who can do automatic backup as well as automatic rollback or restoration of all the Encino data today. Then the third product is Code Scan, or the static code analysis for Salesforce by AutoRABIT, right? Which we recently acquired. So Code Scan is now a AutoRABIT company. So with Code Scan, you can actually maintain your total code health, visibility, or total code quality. You can write faster codes, cleaner codes, and more efficiently, right? So static code analysis helps you in terms of bringing in inbuilt security gates at each of the checkpoints, cloud analysis, providing you cloud analysis report of how your code is behaving or how your code's quality is over the period of time. It has quality check gates to actually take care of recommendations and predict, as well as alert you on the different security reports over the period of time, like what are the problems happening with different codes in terms of criticality, high criticality, low criticality, medium criticality, in terms of the areas where you should take a look in terms of the code, right? So again, here you have flexible deployment models or hosting models. It also supports or adds on to the security and compliance layer of the whole DevSecOps offering that we want to offer to the Salesforce ecosystem today. Uh, the main development challenge or ROI where Code Scan comes into the picture is across the lifecycle of development to production to testing. When we find codes manually, right, without adopting any kind of platforms like CodeScan, then what happens is you don't realize, but over the period of time, the number of bugs or number of problems arises, or you found them later on, right? And then the later the bugs are found, the more expensive they become to actually fix. So you have to pull in a lot of manual redundant processes. You have to use a lot of resources to actually fix that. You have to again go through a lot of cost leakages for that particular thing, right? So that's why it's very important to actually adopt a static code analysis in the very beginning than actually waiting for it to work at the later stage, right? So with codes, we bring in increase the feature delivery speed and productivity in the DevSecOps process, because it saves time on code reviews, automated reviews processes, detects code bugs and vulnerabilities. It integrates with the DevSecOps pipelines easily. It increases the code visibility, so there are dashboards, reports, high-level analysis of code health, It's 100% compatible with Salesforce languages, Metadata Apex, Visual Force, Lightning Web Components, flows, process builders, all of them. You can get higher code quality and more secure code quality because it has different standards it follows, like SANS, CWE, OWASP. If you guys haven't heard about these standards actually uh, are there to actually bring down the vulnerability to the code in terms of the number of bugs that's there. So these are some of the best DevSecOps practices or static code analysis practices for increasing the quality of code, right? Integrated with it can integrate with popular IDE plugins and all those things to increase the code quality. It can reduce the technical debt over the period of time. So there are around 600 rules built in code scan which can automatically take care of code reviews, right? You don't have to manually do them. It also detects code bugs, vulnerabilities, and integrates with all the DevSecOps platform, like I mentioned, right? So this all features actually adds on to your code security and quality over the period of time. When it comes to security and compliances for all the products that we have, all the three products, these are some of the compliances that we meet: HIPAA compliant, GDPR compliant, SOC 1, SOC 2 compliance, ISO compliance. So through these compliances, we try to actually make sure that your data is very, very secure, right? And we have enterprise grade security in place, starting from protecting data in motion to 256-bit encryption in place to bring your own keys based AWS KMS implementations, internal controls, infrastructure compliances, right? In terms of hosting on AWS or GCP or Azure cloud, and on shared cloud or dedicated cloud or private cloud, as well as segregating duties, role-based authentication with respect to SSO, OAuth, all of them, right? To bring in the best enterprise grade security into the picture with all our platforms. These are some of the business ROIs in terms of deployment effort, ROI over the first year, release velocity, developer productivity, defects or errors in terms of reducing them over the period of time. And this is our DevSecOps plus DataOps life cycle starting from 1 to 10 point, right? This is a unified DevSecOps plus DataOps platform we are trying to bring in so that you have everything fixed in the DevSecOps process, right? You don't have to worry about anything. So this is the control center which we framework which we try to actually practice now with each of the platforms, and bringing in all those essential information to the picture, right? Giving you end-to-end overview of what's happening in the process with all the platforms, right? All the SaaS products that we have, multiple deployment options, building in compliances and everything, right? So that on the same platform you can get maximum value, or with the same partnership you can get maximum value through different products, right? And different offerings today. Again, AutoRABIT Academy. So introducing you guys the AutoRABIT Academy or the certifications. So we have today tied up with Encino, and going ahead we are tying up with Velocity and Vivat, so that we have developed already admin level certifications, foundation certifications, professional certifications, release manager certifications, developer certifications, architect certifications for different industries, so that you guys can take help of them. So this is only for our esteemed customers and partners for today. If you are a customer or a partner of ours, please feel free to reach out to us so that we can certify you. We can provide you certifications, and you can go through the self-paced certifications thing and showcase to the industry proudly, right? And I know for sure that stay ahead on the track. Tomorrow we are going to actually showcase the demo of all the platforms, and in between the demo we would actually go for a quiz. So whosoever would actually answer faster and answer all the questions correctly, the top 5 people would actually 5 to 10 people would actually get free AutoRABIT certifications, which is worth $500 each, right? So feel free to actually participate, join us, and participate in the quiz so that you can become a lucky winner, and you can get free certifications from us. Please feel free to reach out at info@autorabit.com for more queries and adopting the next gen DevSecOps for your organization today. Happy to take any questions that you guys might have. Thanks, Vignesh, for taking on the questions. I hope all of you guys are very much aware now about. Thank you very much, team.
Thanks, Piyusha. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Piyusha, for your valuable time. Like, appreciate it. Like, we can say, as today we have gone through all the product and life cycle related to AutoRABIT, and we have tomorrow session, like demo live demo session of AutoRABIT playground and how it works.
Yes,
So the session will start at 12 p.m. IST.
yes,
So after the quiz session related to whatever questions we are defining, we have certification voucher for the top winners.
yes.
And okay, see you soon.
Sure,
Thanks a lot,
sure.
Piyusha, for your time. Thanks a lot, Vignesh.
Thank you. Thank you for arranging everyone. Thanks, Vignesh. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks a lot, team. Bye bye.
Yeah, bye.